Andre must have sensed that something was off because his usual cocky attitude shifted. "Wait, do you know her or something?" he asked. "She's my fiancée," I replied flatly, the words leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. Andre's face fell. "Oh, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't know, I swear." "Hi, I'm Joelle, and here's the situation. Cynthia and I have been together for 5 years. That's half a decade of learning each other's likes, dislikes, quirks, and everything in between. Honestly, it's been amazing. She's warm, funny, and has this incredible way of making everyone around her feel at ease, like they've known her forever. She does have this little habit of humming when she's concentrating, which drives me crazy, but in the most endearing way, if that makes sense. About 5 months ago, I proposed. I was nervous, but not because I thought she'd say no. We'd talked about marriage a ton of times before, but there's just something nerve-wracking about the moment itself, being down on one knee, your heart racing, your hands sweaty, and suddenly the world feels both enormous and incredibly small at the same time. Thankfully, she said yes. Now here we are, 2 months away from the big day, and let me tell you, planning a wedding is no joke. I thought it would just involve picking a date, sending out invitations, and showing up in a tux. Nope. It's like managing a mini company for a single day, and the stakes feel unbelievably high. Last Saturday, we decided to finalize the details. Our living room became wedding HQ, complete with a giant notebook open on the coffee table, her laptop perched on her knees, and a pile of snacks between us, because snacks make everything better. "So flowers," Cynthia said in a businesslike tone, turning her laptop screen toward me to show a Pinterest board. "What do you think of these arrangements?" I glanced at the screen. "They're nice," I said casually. That earned me the look. The one where her eyebrows shoot up and her lips pressed into a firm line. "Joel, this is the most important day of our lives. Nice isn't going to cut it." "Okay, fair." I straightened up and took a closer look. "All right. They're classy, elegant, timeless," I said. "Better?" She smiled. "Much better." That's one of the things I love about Cynthia. She can make even something as mundane as flower arrangements feel like we're planning the Oscars. But it also makes these planning sessions exhausting. Next, we tackled the seating chart, which turned out to be way harder than I expected. You'd think putting people in chairs would be simple, right? Wrong. "Do we really have to seat your Aunt Linda next to my mom?" she asked. I shrugged. "Why not?" "Joel, your mom and my Aunt Linda had an argument about cheesecake at our engagement party. Do you really want to risk a repeat performance at the wedding?" Fair point. We shuffled some names around, and by the end, we were mostly in agreement. Then, out of the blue, she asked, "What about bachelor and bachelorette parties?" I paused. "What about them?" "Well, do you think we should have them?" Leaning back, I thought for a moment. Honestly, I don't see the point. They're just excuses for people to do dumb things they'd never do otherwise. Sure, they're fine for some people, but they're not really us. She nodded, but there was a flicker of hesitation in her expression. "Yeah, you're probably right." "Probably?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "What do you mean, probably?" She shrugged. "It's nothing. Some of our friends were just talking about it, that's all. But it's no big deal." "Good," I said firmly, "because nothing good comes out of those parties. Why would I want to spend a night with strippers or drinking myself stupid? That's not my idea of fun, and for you, it's the same. It's not our style." "Agreed," she said with a smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, I brought it up again. "Are you really okay with skipping the whole Bachelorette thing?" She was brushing her teeth and mumbled something through a mouthful of foam. "Cynthia," I pressed, leaning against the bathroom doorframe. She spat out the toothpaste and gave me a playful glare. "Yes, Joel, I'm fine with it. It's not like I'm dying to do body shots or whatever." "Good," I said, kissing her forehead. "I just want to make sure we're on the same page." "We are," she assured me, crawling into bed. But as I turned off the light, I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't being entirely honest. It was subtle, the way she said "probably" earlier, or the small hesitation in her nod. I told myself I was overthinking it. We've been together for 5 years, we know each other inside and out. What could possibly go wrong? Hi, I'm Cynthia, and here's the thing. I know I agreed with Joel about not having a bachelorette party. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. No drama, no hangovers, and no chance of things going sideways. But as the wedding got closer, my friends started chiming in, and suddenly, I wasn't so sure anymore. It all began when I mentioned the no party rule in our group chat. My friends were not impressed. Wait, no bachelorette party? Are you kidding me, Cynthia? It's your last night of freedom. You have to do something. At first, I brushed it off. Joel and I had talked about this. We were on the same page, right? Then the guilt trip started. My best friend Vanessa called me one night with her full-on "this is a terrible idea" energy. "Cynthia, listen to me," she said, her voice dripping with urgency. "You've been with Joel forever. You've never had a real single girl night out. This is your chance. One night to let loose, get a little wild, and make some memories. What's the harm in that?" I hesitated. "Vanessa, you know Joel isn't into that kind of thing." "Thinks it's a waste of time," Vanessa scoffed so loudly that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "Oh, come on. Joel doesn't need to know every detail. It's not like you're planning to run off with some random guy. You're just having fun." Her words lingered in my mind. Was it so wrong to want one night to let loose before committing to Joel for the rest of my life? I didn't view it as freedom, but more as a way to celebrate leaving my single life behind. The next time Joel and I were hanging out, I decided to bring it up casually. "So, I was talking to Vanessa," I began, keeping my tone light. He didn't look up from his laptop. "Uh-huh. She thinks I should reconsider the no bachelorette party idea," I said, glancing at him to gauge his reaction. Joel's hands paused over the keyboard, and he looked up, his face already spelling out his answer. "Cynthia, we've talked about this," he said firmly. "I just don't see the point. Those parties always lead to someone doing something they regret." "It doesn't have to be like that," I countered, trying to sound upbeat. "It could just be a fun night out with my friends, nothing wild." Joel sighed, leaning back in his chair. "And how often do those nights actually stay nothing wild? Come on, Cynthia. You know what happens at those parties." I bit my lip, a mix of guilt and frustration bubbling up. I knew he wasn't entirely wrong. Vanessa had already joked about hiring a stripper just for laughs, but I wasn't planning to cross any lines. "It's not about going crazy," I argued. "It's about celebrating with my friends. They're all expecting it, Joel. It's tradition." He shook his head. "You've never cared about tradition before, so why start now?" That seemed to end the conversation, or at least it should have. But over the next few weeks, my friends kept pressing the issue. "One night won't kill him," they said. "You deserve this." The more they talked, the more their words began to sink in. Finally, one evening, I couldn't keep it bottled up any longer. Joel was watching TV, and I dropped onto the couch beside him. "Joel, can we talk?" I asked, trying to sound calm. He muted the show and turned to me, already looking cautious. "What's up?" "I've been thinking, and I really think we should reconsider the bachelorette party," I said, diving right in. "I promise it won't be over the top. Just me, the girls, maybe a few drinks, that's all." His jaw tightened. "Cynthia, we've been over this. I don't think it's a good idea, and I don't want you doing it." "What not?" I asked, my frustration starting to spill over. "You trust me, don't you?" "This isn't about trust," he snapped. "It's about avoiding unnecessary drama. These things always end badly, and I don't want that hanging over us right before the wedding." I could feel my cheeks heating up with anger. "So what, you get to make all the decisions and I just have to go along with them? Is that how this works?" For a moment, his expression softened, but his tone remained firm. "It's not about control, it's about respect. We agreed on this, Cynthia. You can't just change your mind because your friends are pressuring you." Eventually, after weeks of pleading, promising, and maybe just a little guilt-tripping, Joel finally relented. "Fine," he said, his tone clipped. "Have your party. One night. But keep it simple. and don't do anything you'll regret." I swore up and down it would be a quiet evening. I even meant it at the time, but looking back, maybe I should have listened to him. It was just an ordinary Thursday. Work had been its usual grind, and I was looking forward to letting off some steam at the gym. Chris, my workout buddy, was already waiting for me when I arrived, and we fell into our usual routine of banter as we worked through our sets. "Dude, you're getting married in 2 months," Chris teased, spotting me as I pushed through my last reps. "Pretty soon it's going to be yoga classes and couples retreats instead of gym sessions." I rolled my eyes and grinned. Yeah, like you're one to talk. You've been married for 5 years, and you're still here pretending you can bench as much as me." "Fair enough," he laughed, shaking his head. We were about halfway through our workout when Chris waved at someone walking into the gym. "Hey, Andre." Andre strolled over, and Chris introduced him as a co-worker. We all started chatting between sets, mostly about random things like sports, work, and life. Eventually, the topic turned to Andre's job. "So, what do you do?" I asked casually, adjusting the weights on the barbell. Andre smirked. "I'm a professional entertainer." Chris chuckled. "He's being modest. He's a stripper." I raised an eyebrow, surprised but curious. "Really? That's interesting." "Yeah," Andre replied, clearly accustomed to this kind of reaction. "It's not as glamorous as people think, but it pays well. And the stories I could tell? Oh, let's just say I've seen it all." Chris laughed. "Like last night, right? You were talking about that wild party?" Andre's face lit up. "Oh yeah, last night was crazy. A bachelorette party at the Velvet Room. Those girls went all out." I froze, my grip tightening on the barbell. The name The Velvet Room hit me like a punch to the gut. It was the same club where Cynthia and her friends had gone for her bachelorette party. "Wait," I said, forcing my tone to remain neutral. "The Velvet Room, that's downtown, right?" Andre nodded, completely unaware of my growing unease. "Yeah, upscale place. They cater to a high-end crowd. Last night's group, though? Wildest I've ever seen." My chest tightened, but I kept my composure. "What made it so wild?" I asked, hoping my voice sounded casual. Andre shrugged, leaning lazily against the bench. "Oh, the usual. Lots of drinking, dancing, and extracurricular activities. One of the girls got really handsy and, well, you know?" He trailed off with a smug grin. I felt my stomach churn, but I pressed on, keeping my expression steady. "Do you ever take photos or videos? For work or whatever?" Andre chuckled. "Of course, gotta document the chaos sometimes. Want to see?" My palms were sweaty as I nodded. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling. When he turned the screen toward me, my world came crashing down. There she was, Cynthia, my fiancée. In one clip she was laughing, clearly drunk, as she pulled the stripper close to her. The next clip was even worse. She was on her knees, servicing one of the strippers while her friends cheered her on. My vision blurred as Andre swiped to another photo. It showed her walking into a private room with the same guy, her arm draped around his neck. I felt like the ground had vanished beneath me. "Hey, you okay, man?" Chris's voice cut through the roaring in my ears. I blinked, forcing myself to nod. Yeah, just a lot to take in." Andre must have noticed something was wrong, because his confident smirk disappeared. "Wait, you know her, don't you?" "She's my fiancée," I said flatly, the words leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. Andre's face paled. "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't know, I swear." I shook my head, struggling to stay calm. "It's fine. Could you send me those photos and videos, though? I need to figure this out." "Of course," Andre said quickly, fumbling with his phone. Chris looked at me, his expression a mix of pity and awkwardness. "Joel, are you okay? Do you want to step outside?" I nodded, grabbed my bag, and headed for the door. My mind was spinning, replaying the images and videos in an endless loop. Outside, I leaned against my car, taking deep breaths to try and steady myself. The betrayal hit like a freight train. This wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. Cynthia had crossed every imaginable line and there was no coming back from it. I stood there for what felt like forever, staring blankly at the city lights. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, to demand answers, to scream until she admitted the truth. But the rational part of me knew I needed to handle this carefully. By the time I got home, I had made my decision. Joel had been acting strangely all day. He was quieter than usual, avoiding eye contact when I spoke, and his responses were clipped. At first I brushed it off, thinking he must have had a rough day at work. But when he came home, grabbed his keys and said, "Get in the car, we need to talk to your parents," I froze. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to sound casual, though my stomach twisted into knots. He didn't answer. He simply opened the car door and motioned for me to get in. His calm demeanor was unsettling, far more frightening than if he'd been openly angry. The drive was unbearably tense. I tried to fill the silence with small talk, but Joel didn't respond. His jaw was clenched, and his grip on the steering wheel was tight. By the time we pulled into my parents' driveway, I was on edge. Inside, my mom greeted us warmly, but Joel didn't return her smile. Instead, he walked straight into the living room and sat down, gesturing for everyone to join him. "Joel, what's going on?" my dad asked, his face full of concern. Joel turned to me, his gaze cold and unrelenting. "Cynthia, why don't you tell them about your bachelorette party?" My heart stopped. I forced to laugh, though it sounded hollow even to me. "What about it? It was just a night out with the girls, nothing special." Joel leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Really? Nothing special?" His voice was calm, but there was a sharpness in it that made my palms sweat. "Yeah," I said, crossing my arms. "We had some drinks, danced a little, typical bachelorette stuff." Joel didn't blink. "You're forgetting a few things, like the part where you hired strippers, or the part where you cheated on me." My stomach dropped. I opened my mouth to protest, but he cut me off. "Don't bother lying, Cynthia. I have proof." My mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. My dad's jaw tightened as his face darkened. "What proof?" I demanded, my voice rising. Joe pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, and held it up. There it was, the video of me, drunk and reckless, doing things I never thought Joel would find out about. My face burned with shame as my parents stared in stunned silence. "This isn't what it looks like," I stammered, my voice trembling. Joel let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, really? Because it looks like you cheated on me, Cynthia. Care to explain how that's not what it looks like?" "I was drunk," I blurted, tears spilling over. "I didn't mean for any of it to happen. I don't even remember half of it." "That's your excuse?" Joel snapped, his calm facade cracking. "You begged me for weeks to let you have this party. You promised me nothing inappropriate would happen. And now this? You expect me to believe it's just a big misunderstanding?" "I wasn't thinking," I cried, sobbing openly. "It was a mistake, Joel. Please, you have to believe me. I didn't mean to hurt you." Joel shook his head, his expression hard. "You didn't mean to hurt me? Cynthia, you humiliated me, you betrayed me, and then you lied about it. Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Joel, please," I begged, reaching for his hand. He pulled away as if my touch burned him. "I'm done," he said flatly. "The wedding is off. Return the ring and pack your things. I'll give you a day to move out." "Joel, no, please, we can fix this," I sobbed, my voice breaking. "It was one stupid night. Don't throw everything away over this." Joel stood, his eyes cold and distant. "You threw it away. Cynthia, not me." After he left, I tried calling him, texting him, begging him to talk, but he didn't respond. When I went to our apartment the next day, hoping to see him, he was already gone. Everything felt surreal. The wedding website had been taken down, and when I checked our venue booking, it had been canceled. Joel wasn't just cutting me off, he was erasing me from his life. Even when I returned the ring, hoping it might give us a chance to talk, he barely looked at me. "Just leave it on the table," he said coldly. I stood there, searching for any sign of forgiveness in his face, but there was nothing. No anger, no sadness, just an icy detachment that made it clear I was a chapter he had firmly closed.